Hi everyone, this is Ramalinga Prasad Kuppa. Welcome to my channel Pharma World. Today's topic is reduced testing of input materials in pharmaceutical manufacturing. Testing of all input materials for manufacturing of APIs and intermediates is a critical part to achieve suitable quality output of API or intermediate. It also costs a significant amount of money and testing resources. So, how to carry out reduced testing without compromising on quality of input materials? In this video, let us try to understand the requirements of the guideline. Let us see the requirement. Section 7.30 of ICH-Q7 prescribes at least one test to verify the identity of each batch of material should be conducted with the exception of the materials described below in 7.32. This section allows to carry out only an identity test for the input materials except for the condition prescribed under section 7.32. A supplier certificate of analysis can be used in place of performing other tests provided that the manufacturer has a system in place to evaluate suppliers. So, by a simple identification test, how can it be established that the entire batch passes to the specifications fully? A supplier certificate of analysis can provide confidence that the material passes to specifications fully. But there is a condition. It clearly says that there should be a system to evaluate the supplier. Evaluation of the suppliers can be handled in a variety of ways. One way is to get a GMP questionnaire filled by the supplier in compliance to GMP systems. The questionnaire should have the necessary supporting SOPs, description of quality systems, any accreditations certified by any regulatory or statutory agencies, etc. The supplier should also have a robust ALCOA compliant QC system to establish the authenticity of the certificate of analysis provided. The supplier should honestly and accurately respond to the queries of the GMP questionnaire. After satisfactory review of the data of GMP questionnaire, it may be decided on compliance with this section. A better way of supplier evaluation is carried out by physical inspection of the site of manufacture for checking the GMP compliance levels. Section 7.31 prescribes supplier approval should include an evaluation that provides adequate evidence, example, past history, that the manufacturer can consistently provide material meeting specifications. Section 7.31 prescribes more. The supplier evaluation should include adequate evidence of compliance with quality for the material supplied for a definite period. The data should capture the details of number of lots supplied, number of lots passed, number of lots rejected, etc. A system of performance index may be designed based on this history. The supply should consistently meet the requirements. Consistency may be extended to compliance to supply commitments on agreed timelines and quantities also. The performance index should be closer to 95+% compliance. In all such cases, this section is valid. Full analysis should be conducted on at least 3 batches before reducing in-house testing. However, as a minimum, a full analysis should be performed at appropriate intervals and compared with the certificates of analysis. This is important. A minimum of 3 consecutive batches of supply should be tested fully for compliance before making into reduced testing schedule. Also, there should be a policy to test every 6 months or a year's full evaluation should be done. And the results compared with the certificates of analysis provided by the supplier. The statistical variability of the results should be less or insignificant to establish consistency of the testing at the supplier's end. Reliability of the certificate of analysis should be checked at regular intervals. Reliability of data of certificate of analysis should be done by audit trail of the QC practices at vendor's end. Audit trail may include checking of relevant valid test procedures, usage of current and valid standards, maintenance and calibration of analytical instruments, training of the analysts to carry out the analysis without errors, complying to GLP procedures and systems, etc. Section 7.32 prescribes processing aids, hazardous or highly toxic raw materials or other special materials or materials transferred to another unit within the company's control do not need to be tested if the manufacturer's certificate of analysis is obtained showing that these raw materials conform to established specifications. Processing aids like filter papers, filter pads, high flow supercell, fuller's earth that are used as filtering media which have specific testing requirements. All APIs or intermediate manufacturers may not have equipped with such equipment for testing on site. In such cases, the certificate of analysis may be accepted. Similarly, looking into the safety aspects of handling of toxic materials, it may be accepted to have a certificate of analysis declaring the quality attributes of the material. Justification for such acceptance is explained in the next point. Materials transferred from one unit to the other unit under strict conditions of production, testing, packaging, labeling and transportation with appropriate conditions to another unit is acceptable. Compliance to all such conditions should be documented and the information should be provided to the receiving unit. Visual examination of the containers, labels and recording of batch numbers should help in establishing the identity of these materials. The lack of on-site testing for these materials should be justified and documented. The first part of the statement establishes the criteria for acceptance. If the labels, batch numbers, seal numbers tally with the documents received along with the consignment, it may be accepted as such without further testing. However, the second part of the justification is more important. Lack of testing at the receiving end should be justified with adequate documentation. Justification should focus on the good manufacturing practices at the manufacturer's end. Acceptance of materials without testing at site considers that the materials were manufactured as per GMP. How do you establish this? The answer is by evaluating the vendor. the vendor should be inspected to check for compliance to GMP, including review of audit trail of both manual and electronic data integrity and Alcoa systems. This activity establishes that the fact that the manufacturer carries out the manufacturing activities as per GMP. Hence, repetition of analysis is unnecessary. This is how it should be understood. The objective evidence is that there should be a detailed audit report of the vendor facility. There should be valid quality agreement clearly defining the responsibilities of the vendor and the API manufacturer. Each consignment of material received should have a declaration that the manufacturing was carried out complying to GMP requirements. Under these circumstances, on-site testing can be avoided. Let us see the prescription under 211.84. Testing and approval or rejection of components, drug product containers and closures. Samples shall be examined and tested as follows. At least one test shall be conducted to verify the identity of each component of a drug product. Specific identity tests, if they exist, shall be used. Each component shall be tested for conformity with all appropriate written specifications for purity, strength and quality. In lieu of such testing by the manufacturer, a report of analysis may be accepted from the supplier of a component provided that at least one specific identity test is conducted on such component by the manufacturer and provided that the manufacturer establishes the reliability of the supplier's analysis through appropriate validation of suppliers' test results at appropriate intervals. In this section of 21 CFR Part 211.84, at least one specific identification test is necessary to accept the material with similar conditions as described in the previous slide. 21 CFR Part 211 deals with finished pharmaceuticals, whereas ICH-Q7 deals with APIs and intermediates, one step before the finished pharmaceuticals. So the difference between these two requirements is that in finished pharmaceuticals, one identity test is necessary even if the API supplier complies to the requirements under section 211.84 D2. There is one additional requirement. The supplier's test results should be validated at an appropriate interval. This must be established based on the performance of the supplier. Drugs and Cosmetics Rules 1945. Schedule M. Good manufacturing practices and requirements for premises, plant and equipment for pharmaceutical products. Part 1. Good manufacturing practices for premises and materials prescribes requirements for handling of raw materials under section 10. Information in Drugs and Cosmetics Rules 1945 prescribes some important conditions in section 10. However, the information so far discussed above is not part of these rules. I hope that the information and explanation of the intent on these guidelines requirements is understood well. Try to utilize the intent, particularly for API and intermediate manufacturer, to avoid some testing as per section 7.32 and a minimum specific identity test for manufacture of finished pharmaceuticals. Thanks for watching. For more videos, please do subscribe, like and share. Also, please leave a message in comments box for any further support. Thank you.